Hello, I'm Agent 0936F6 from the SMRA, or Slenderman Research Association. The purpose of the SMRA is to conduct and provide research on the Slenderman to the SCP Foundation. Each agent in the association is appointed a color corresponding with their agent name to wear while in the field to differentiate yourselves from any possible slayings of Slenderman, and to identify anyone who may become a proxy to Slender. This video will feature 5 photographic pieces of evidence of Slenderman to share with you, the public, to help raise awareness of the existence of Slenderman. Everything you are about to see is confidential and must not be spoken of outside this room. Incident 84. Location: Artman's Mill, Dansville, New York. September 5th, 1938. Local police were called to the mill after a worker saw a child around the age of 9 years old watching the worker several yards away in the woods. The child looked malnourished and was wearing a torn red t-shirt and shredded blue pants. The description of clothing matches the description of a young boy who went missing a year earlier 3 miles away from the mill. When the worker tried to approach the child, he ran off in the opposite direction deeper into the woods. As they searched the area for 8 hours into the night, the only evidence found was a dead deer 2 miles away from the area the worker saw the child. The deer had a clean hole directly through its chest. It was missing several of its organs. The photo you are looking at was taken 4 days before the event. Incident 143. Location: Evergreen Lawn Cemetery, Akron, New York. January 25th, 1982. A man working for the local town's snowplow service was getting ready for a shift around 8 a.m. that Monday morning. When he reported spotting a strange man with long arms, legs, and what looked to him to be a ski mask sneaking around the place. Local police were called to the location at 8:46 a.m. And at 8:46 a.m., one of the 4 officers that arrived on location called for backup, frantically screaming,
"I need backup! This ain't no man! This thing just lifted Jacob off the ground with a tentacle or something!"
The officer's voice was cut off and a gurgling spitting sound as the radio went dead. Exactly 3 minutes later, 4 more squad cars arrived at the scene to find the 4 men gone, with blood-stained snow where 3 of the men's last footsteps were located. One of the police cars had a hole in the windshield and blood splattered on the front passenger seat's headrest. After hearing about this incident, Agent 00FC24 arrived on location January 27th to perform an investigation on the area. The only piece of evidence from this investigation is this photo. Incident 35. Location: Bulls Gap, Tennessee. June 8th, 1924. The McRae family called local police when their neighbors, the Websters, wouldn't answer their calls, nor were they seen picking up their mail for the past 3 days. Police arrived at the Websters' home and walked around the perimeter of the house. The back door appeared to have been torn off the hinges and thrown several feet away from the house. The floor inside leading from the door into the house was stained with dry blood with streaks in it that looked like hands and fingers were dragged across the ground. An upstairs window to the family's child's room, age 3, was shattered. A doghouse several yards away from the house had torn dog collar laying on the ground beside it. When questioned on what they knew about the incident 3 days ago, Mr. McRae told police, "All I remember was that the dog was barking like hell when it suddenly stopped. I assumed old Greg had just smacked the old mutt to shut up and thought nothing of it." The photo was taken by the police's crime scene investigator. There was no one else on the premises when this photo was taken. Incident 22. Location: Charlottesville, Virginia. December 22nd, 1922. Local police got a call from the elderly couple of Beatrice and Frank Umber of an intruder breaking into their home and kidnapping their 3 grandchildren who were spending the Christmas holiday with them. Mr. Umber reported walking into the children's room to check on them around 9 p.m. after hearing screaming coming from the room. Frank opened the door and saw a man in a black suit facing away from him towards the bed 2 of the children were sharing. The man was so tall the back of its head nearly touched the ceiling as it was bent over the bed. As Frank opened the door, the man turned towards him and he saw it had no face. He reported having become horrified, dizzy, and started to hear whispers before he passed out. Beatrice, hearing her husband fall to the floor outside their own bedroom, got up and opened the door to see her husband passed out on the floor. The children's bedroom was empty and the window was open, blowing cold wind and snow flurries into the room. About 2 weeks before this incident, the elementary teacher of Lisa, the little girl seen in the photo, met with her parents in regard of some disturbing drawings she had drawn in class. These drawings were of a little girl holding hands with what looked like a tall man in a suit. When the teacher asked who the man was, Lisa said, "He's my friend. He talks to me sometimes at night." When the teacher asked why her friend had X's for eyes, Lisa said, "He doesn't have any eyes. He doesn't have a mouth or nose either. It's really funny." This photo was taken 3 days before the incident. Incident 102. Location, Osaki, North Carolina, July 4th, 1945. This is our most significant piece of evidence in the SMRA. The following recording is an eyewitness explanation of the event by Judy Schwartz, the woman seen sitting in the photo, to police 18 hours after the incident.
It was the 4th of July, and my sister and brother-in-law came over to celebrate with us. The children were playing with sparklers and firecrackers behind Fred, my husband, who took the photo. Right after he had taken the photo, a large black tentacle shot right out from the tree line to my right, and it went right through Fred's skull. I screamed and turned to see this man. No. Thing. Probably 7 feet tall, standing behind me. The tentacle looked like it came out of the back of its black suit. It didn't have a face, no mouth, no eyes, no ears, but it looked at me. I know it did. And it said my name. It whispered my name, but it sounded like a screaming banshee. I couldn't move as I saw it kill Henry and Denise with 2 more of those tentacles. The kids just stopped and stared at the thing. They didn't scream or run. I tried to yell for them to run, but I couldn't talk. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't. Then it turned its head to them and held out its hand to the kids. That's when I finally managed to stand up. I ran toward the kids. I wasn't going to let it kill them too, but I blinked and it appeared right in front of me and grabbed my neck and held me up in front of its face. It looked me in the eyes. I know it did. It didn't have eyes, but it looked me in the eyes before it threw me into a tree. I blacked out, and when I woke up, the thing and the kids were gone, and my husband was...
This is where the recording ended, as she broke down in tears and the recorder was shut off. When police arrived to the scene, the bodies of Fred Schwartz and Henry and Denise Ayacheta were missing, with only grass stained with blood to show where the bodies had been. Several officers walked into the woods where Judy reported Slender came from and found the bodies impaled on tree branches 10 feet off the ground, 7 yards away from the incident location. All 3 skulls were crushed, and when the bodies were finally retrieved, it appeared their organs had been placed in some sort of plastic bag material with no opening to them. Further investigation into this case found that Judy had encountered the Slender Man at 11 years old, where it had, as speculation leads to believe, turned her into a sleeper proxy. These proxies have their original personalities kept intact and are left unaware of their status of proxies. She has no recollection of her first encounter with the Slender Man, but early police reports were found describing the encounter as told by her parents to police. I thank you for your time, and please, always be aware of your surroundings.
Code White! We're in Code White! The facility has been breached! I repeat, he's here!
He's in conference room for...